Good morning. I thought I would do an end of summer garden tour. It's the third week in August, and I just thought I would walk around and give you guys a tour. I did stop watering because we are getting to that time of year where spring will dry up, so I don't want that to happen. But here's the garden gate entrance, and the roses have climbed all the way to meet to the center. In fact, I need to stake some of them up. As you can see, they're getting a little ruly, but otherwise the garden still looks really pretty even though we have stopped watering. So I thought I would give you a quick tour. I'm not going to go over all the plant names other than just to say the generic components, just to save time today. But anyways, here we go. Let's go ahead and go inside. All of the roses did so amazing this year. I have some roses in here as well. I believe this is Earth Angel, but you can't really see much because it's done blooming for the season. And the geraniums I pruned back several times. If you're not familiar with geraniums, they are a little workhorse in your garden. In fact, there's so many different colors and textures and all of the things, so they really look nice in all of your beds or pots, like you can see here. I also have some wire vine that has really taken off this year in these big pots. And so if I come back over again this way, you can just see everything looks really pretty, but you're going to see some things in the garden that are looking worse for the wear, just because it's that time of the year where things are starting to slowly start to decline. You'll even see that fall is starting to happen on the Oregon coast. By the way, we live in Toledo, Oregon, which is a zone 9A. Our zone 9A is not like a California zone 9A. It's actually typically still fairly cool for the most part. We have had a couple of hot weeks with temperatures in the 80s, which is warm for the Oregon coast. We're about 20 minutes inland from Newport, Oregon. So anyways, let's go ahead and just continue walking by all the pretty things that are blooming. So you can see the liatris is still going strong. It's about ready to be done, but it's still going. This was a week's rose. It was a really pretty pink rose. It does have a little bit of, looks like powdery mildew, but that is a-okay. And then the dahlias, they do need to be staked up better next year. I've got to figure out a different plan. I've got a pretty sedum back here, as well as some unanimous and wine and shine Valgelia, and it doesn't, I don't think it has any flowers, but this is its first season in the ground. It's a dwarf, so it shouldn't get too big. And again, the spirea that I had shaped up earlier this year into a topiary is now splayed out again. It's gotten quite big, so I'll probably prune that back either this fall or leave it until next spring. The phlox, you can see, is almost on its way out, but it's still so pretty in the garden. And tall phlox, for some areas you can get powdery mildew, but not here, at least from my experience. And this is actually taller than myself. I have some more dahlias down here, and this daylily was pruned back pretty hard because it was splaying out in the walkway, but you can see it came back, at least with some nice clean green foliage, so it looks kind of nice for the end of the season. And my husband does make these arbors, these big round moon gate arbors. Let me go back over this way. And we sold quite a few for Oregon and Washington. If you're interested, let us know. Unfortunately, we can't ship these. They're too heavy to ship, but regardless, they're a beautiful statement in the garden, especially with roses trailing over them. So as you can see there's some more dahlias back there. If I come over here, if you're new to my channel, welcome. But one of the things I did want to mention is this is a rock garden. We actually designed this last year. We had grass as our primary focus out here, and so we do have some outlining beds that go across this way and then over here, and I'll just kind of let around that tree we had that flower bed, and then obviously around here we had all of these beds. Everything else that you're looking at though was brand new as of last year. We brought in about 100,000 pounds of rocks. Actually, that total's actually higher because we brought in more this spring. But we actually just designed it. The grass that we were trying to grow didn't do so hot because of that big cherry tree up there. That cherry tree actually needs to come down, but every year we just struggle with wanting to do that process. I think it just makes us sad. but it has wood borers, and I want something that's going to grow fast. I might buy a willow tree in its place. But anyways, we outlined this, drew it out, and there's a circle around the fire pit. So there's beds around, outlining, making it look like a circle. I might extend that circle a little bit more next year to actually have more growing space. But I am a garden addict. I love gardening. I've been gardening for, I don't know, 30 plus years. But this garden is my most favorite that I've done over the years, primarily just because it's exactly what we were hoping for. In this circle bed right here, we have lots of different sedums, autumn joy sedums, and coral bells, as well as just a whole bunch of different types of grasses. And then this year we did plant a ruby redbud, which is just amazing. It's going to get 5 feet wide and about 10 feet in height. So we're really excited about that. You'll notice if you watched my April and May garden tours that we had globe thistle that was actually taller than me. And I used the globe thistle for my daughter's wedding, my bonus daughter's wedding this summer, and cut it all the way back. And I do need to transplant it because it gets so tall. It was actually about 7 feet tall. So I will be moving those around sometime either this fall or spring. But I'm really impressed because I cut them all the way back, and you can see they're just little workhorses as well. They just came back and they've got blooms again. So that'll be fun to see this late summer as well. Autumn joy, the one thing I will mention, if you're a savvy gardener like myself, you want to save some money, a lot of my plants that I have, I've propagated, and there is symmetry across all of my beds, meaning I typically use some of the same plants. But autumn joy, if you're not familiar, is a really easy plant to propagate. You can simply take a piece from the bottom, and in the springtime when it's raining, you can actually just pop them in the ground without having any roots. If you're not in a climate where you get a lot of roots, then you want to make sure you give them a lot of water, or make sure you transplant them with at least a partial root to help that get going. But isn't this just so pretty? Excuse me. You'll also notice that we've got a bunch of roses that we added this year. These 4 we added. These were $5 roses from a vendor in the valley. And so we're really excited about those. Some of them are a little bit bigger than others. Because I've stopped watering, you can see they're a little bit stunted, some of them, in growth, but that is a-okay. Over here I have a rose called Fly So High, and she has bloomed all summer long, and she kind of reminds me of like peppermint candy, but she is beautiful. My husband also made this obelisk for me, and it's metal, made out of the same metal that we use for our moongate arbors. And we did have some baby swallows up there. We just put that little base up there so they wouldn't fall down, so we'll take that off and remove it. But otherwise, that was fun to see them come this year. We were worried they weren't going to come due to us moving that birdhouse up there. So again, if I come over this way and back up a little bit, hopefully I don't fall down. If I do, just laugh. You can see the view from this side. My husband also built me benches. I like to have lots of seating areas within the garden so that we have different vantage points to see the garden. This is a new moongate over here that he designed this year. And then if I look over to this side, we did have a turntable arbor, moongate arbor, that we did sell, so it's no longer here. But that was exciting. It went to a gallery, and they did some really fun stuff with that as a project. So everyone who's purchased an arbor from us, they've done some really unique things and projects with them. So it's always fun to see how everyone wants to interpret or use these moongate arbors that are just so pretty. So this bed right here was a bed that was one of the first ones that we created, and it's doing pretty good. There's some things I'm going to edit out next year and add some new components. The daylilies really did well this year, but they're all kind of now looking a little sad due to just what time of year it is. These are some sunjoys. They are kind of dwarf barberries, which I love. They are really, really pretty in the springtime when their growth comes out. Just adds nice color to the beds. Our bed over here is looking worse for the wear for sure, because that bed definitely needs some water. You will see some little tweenies running around. We have 4 tweenies and a standard poodle that we just love and adore. So if you see them, they're just saying hi. One thing I will mention about this bed in particular is we have some ferns that were spontaneously deposited by the birds. And so since that was kind of a happy surprise, I left it. So again, things are looking a little bit tired, but overall, for being the end of August, not too bad. So let's go ahead and continue our walk down and take a peek. So again, with our rock design, we added pea gravel, which looks really pretty, and then standard gravel, pea gravel all the way through the center and our walkways, and all different sizes of rocks. We have some boulders and small rocks and so forth, and looks really pretty when it's raining and wintertime months. We also have added some evergreens to just kind of keep some visual interest even during those dreary months. And on the Oregon coast, we get quite a bit of rain from fall all the way till April or May, sometimes even June, where we just kind of get torrential rain. So while that kind of helps lead to a very pretty green background, it can kind of delay a little bit of our blossoms here on the Oregon coast, but now that is not the issue. It's the opposite. We need some rain. These little beds around, again, they all have similar plants in the design. We've got different types of sedum. This isn't an autumn joy. I can't remember the name of this one, but there is an autumn joy in there. And then heucheras or coral bells are also a really fun plant to grow. And like this one in particular will grow in the sun or the shade. And I take cuttings from that every year to propagate and just move around to add to the other beds, which is fun and also economical, and propagating and making extra plants. You'll see that I do have some geraniums that are just kind of growing outside. That is a-okay. I kind of like the cottage look, and so I've left them. This yellow rose is just so beautiful, and she actually got pruned back way too far, and I was worried that she wasn't going to do so hot, but she just did her magic, and all of these roses are just absolutely beautiful. This arbor in particular, this obelisk, my husband also designed, and it's hard to see, but there's a little birdhouse at the very top. Okay, so we've already talked about some of these items over here. I try to grow some native plants, but also just plants that don't take a lot of water. So that's why I do have a lot of sedum, just to try to help with watering. And I don't have a drip line other than in this bed and that back long bed. However, it's not actually set up, so I have been watering up until this last couple weeks. I would water every day for about 2 hours, but I have stopped the watering just to make sure we have water for our house. So this is a deodar cedar. It's quite big, and I did put it in a pot because it's going to get about 150 feet in height, and so I was concerned about that. And so it is in a big pot for now, and someday maybe we'll move it out to our field or something. That is a Leyland cypress back there. It too is going to get pretty big, so that will probably have to be transplanted and moved. Here's some more spirea that I have trimmed back, just because this was getting too big, but it's soon. So this is it right here. Will look like the one over there in size, but it's just a really pretty color in the garden. You can see my rudbeckia or my black-eyed Susans are also blooming. We had some calla lilies that were really, really pretty in here as well. And we added about 5 different types of hydrangeas this year. They're on their way out, but those were really, really pretty as well. We have some more sedum. I have all different types of sedum. I can't remember the name of this one, but it was so cute. And if I scroll up, you'll see some dinner plate dahlias that are really, really pretty right here as well. And I did transplant or propagate some phlox back there, those purple ones, so that should fill in over time and kind of make that a little bit more impact back there. You'll see I also have some more dahlias. If I scroll back, these arbors, my hope and dream is that these Eden Rose climbers will, and if you haven't seen an Eden Rose, they're just absolutely stunning, will climb on each side of the arbor and go around. So this is their first year in the ground, so I don't anticipate much more growth this year, but they're doing pretty good for first year roses. In fact, all of our roses this year really put on a show for just being a lot of them first year bloomers. I'm going to come back this way so you guys can see the view this way. We added a rose right here. This is again another one of those $5 roses from a vendor in Salem, Oregon, and there's 4 roses right here too. So you can see, even though it's towards the end of the summer season and things are not as pretty, we still have a lot of color and interest in the garden. This bed over here is also a 1-year newer bed, and it's got different types of perennial grasses, sweet flag, and lady's mantle. Lady's mantle is another easy plant to propagate. In fact, this one's probably going to be about 3 new plants that I can take and divvy out next fall, or next spring to make new plants. And so you can see this is really pretty as well. Some of them, this one is primarily in the sun in the afternoon, so that one's not doing as hot. But again, also because I stopped watering, that is a big part of the issue. In here this year, added rosemary bog. That's that really pretty blue, and I just love it for the color in this bed in particular. It just kind of pops. But it had little pink flowers for about at least 6 weeks in the garden, so that was really pretty to see as well. So I'll just kind of scour around so you guys can see our view. And I wish you could be in person. It's always prettier in person. I didn't mention, but my husband and bonus son made those 3 bird houses for me that I just love. And now you're going to see this back bed. This back bed's been here for about 5 years. We did add some hydrangeas and some other perennials back here, but the crazy looking stuff right here, this greenery, is actually crow's cosmias, and it's out of bloom now. You can look at my prior videos and you'll see how much they bloomed, and the hummingbirds just loved them. And so we got to see quite a few hummingbirds in our area. I have another deodar cedar right here, or not deodar, Leyland cypress right here. And I did prune that back to try to keep it skinny. But it's now taller than me, so I'm not sure how that's going to work next year. And it was actually planted way too close to the sidewalk. So even seasoned gardeners make mistakes with planting for sizes and dimensions. So just know we're all in it together. We're all still learning and growing. There is another spirea. I just love spireas. There's a whole bunch of different colors and varieties. If you're not familiar with those, they make a nice little shrub in your garden and definitely add impact. If we come down here, my most favorite bed that I talk about every single video is this little half moon or half circle right here. It's just absolutely stunning and just prettier than I could have ever imagined right here. And so you'll see we've got geraniums that I grew from seed. We have some beautiful echinacea or cone flowers, and lots of sedum in here as well as geraniums, some sweet flag, all the things pretty much in this bed, as well as some lavender. It looks really, really, really pretty. One thing you will notice is that here is our lemon cypress. We had 2, and I don't know if you guys remember, but the one didn't survive, and I was mentioning that we were going to need to take that out, which we have since done so. So that is now gone, and in its place I just moved over this beautiful Japanese maple, and I can't remember the name of this one, but the color is just absolutely phenomenal. Right now it's kind of a burgundy color, but in a couple weeks when fall hits, it's going to actually turn this really bright pink color, and it's just love it. It's just really, really, really pretty little accent tree. This bed, as I mentioned earlier, has been here, and this year we added some boxwoods just to have some evergreen consistency or color in the winter and fall months, and it's just doing so well. I did plant in some new heucheras in there as well, and they're doing well, and you can see I have lots and lots of different hostas in there. So excuse my little table with my bottles. Again, if I turn over this way, this is a solar light or a solar fountain that it works amazing. It only comes on as the light progresses, so in about another hour it'll turn on, but the sound is lovely and very inexpensive, but just adds a really nice water element into the garden. This circular bed right here, my husband designed. It's actually using one of the frames that we use for our moon gate arbors, and this is probably not my most favorite bed this year, only because I had planted a bunch of bachelor buttons in it, and unfortunately those bachelor buttons fell over, and so I had to kind of really prune this back. But it has also petunias and silver decanter falls, as well as some lime green potato vine, which is pretty, but you'll see some big gaps in here. That's because of those bachelor buttons. In here, here's another spirea. This is called Blue Kazoo, and I love it because of its color. Excuse me, it gets its name blue because it kind of has a bluish hint to those leaves. and kind of gives an iridescent color. And I also planted some sedum in those as well. And then this sedum over here, you can see is already in bloom, which just looks so pretty. My bonus daughter always says that my sedum reminds her of broccoli. Excuse me, broccoli, and it does. I don't know about you all, but I've been sick 3 times this year with different, I think I've had COVID twice and RSV, and my lungs are still trying to get healthy. Anyway, so if you hear my voice, that's just me still trying to recover. This bed was a brand new bed that we added this year. So from there, I don't know if you can see, but there's a post that goes down. We added an additional 12 feet. And then last year we added this bed to the next post. So technically we've added 24 feet in over a year. And this had wildflowers last year. So lupin and a whole bunch of different coreopsis, and my hollyhocks are just about done blooming. But really, really pretty bed this year. And I also planted in some zucchini at the very end. This bed gets full sun, so it was kind of just a nice place to tuck in a veggie so that we could have that. I'm thinking next year, this is actually our field that we used to have our cattle in, but it's got a lot of issues with a lot of our fencing. So I'm hoping and thinking about next year extending the garden out to there. So we'll see if my husband will like that idea or not. But if I come this way, I'll give you guys a view this route. Out here, by the way, we added more gravel, but this is really big gravel. It's about, I don't know, it's supposed to be a quarter, but that's definitely not a quarter. It's about a 1/2 inch in size. So again, it just adds, hi Malaya, hi pretty girl. Just adds just more dimension and color during the, especially when it rains, it looks real pretty. In this bed, besides, I forgot to mention, there's tons of different cosmos in here as well. And then I have another bench that my husband designed. Over here, I'm also hoping next year to extend the flower bed out, at least down to this corner. So there's not very much grass. Since our dogs can go out all the way out there, we have plenty of room for them as well. There's our chicken coop, which I'll talk to you about in just a second. And I really can't wait to show you guys inside of the garden. That used to be our veggie garden that we've transformed into a perennial garden. So here we go. Everything looks so pretty. So recently my husband came home with an additional 8 chickens, or anyways, we have a total of 12 females now. And they're doing wonderful. They're a great addition for our home. Loving the eggs and all the good stuff. This year, my last video, you may have seen that I added some new Japanese anemones or anemones, and here comes Miss Ruby. Hey, calm down, Ruby. So there goes all the dogs, so I apologize. Anyways, I added these Japanese anemones. They're called Love Me Sweetly, and they are just such a sweet little addition, and I just love the coloring. So I have some more Japanese anemone, anemone, or anemone, however you say it, that I'll show you as well. But this bed looks pretty well established, and this bed has been here for more than a year. It's been here about 4 years. Over here in this container, I planted up some more of my geraniums that I grew from seed, and then this year I also added this hydrangea, which she's super pretty, and just love her. And I do try to give her some water so that she doesn't die. But this one's a Let's Dance Can Do, and a proven winners. I found a new nursery. Ruby, what are you doing? Settle down. There's our Miss Ruby, our standard poodle that is apparently loving her life. I have some more Japanese maples. I have quite a few in pots out here, again, just for visual interest, but I also love Japanese maples. If you were to ask me what my garden design is, I'd probably say it's cottage, but it also has some Japanese elements. So, you know, at different times of the season, it looks like a Japanese garden. Other times it looks like a cottage garden. Here's the other anemone that I was talking about, Japanese anemone, that is really pretty. This one's like a white one, and I'm hoping to transplant some of that to the other beds. This circle actually has parts of it is part sun and parts of it is full shade. So this bed in particular mostly is shade, so that's why I planted that in there. And then I have this really pretty heuchera that I just love the color, and again, other heucheras that are in there as well. And if you're not familiar with heuchera, some of them can go in the sun and some of them can go in the shade. And same with your sedum. The sedum, you might not have as many blossoms if you put them in the shade, but you can actually still plant them in the shade and get some textural and visual interest in your garden. So, and I have so many different types of geraniums, again, hardy geraniums, that it's too many to mention. I love this little Japanese maple over here. It kind of looks like a lollipop or a topiary Japanese maple, and then there's one right there. And then the rest of these little 4 beds, or 8 beds, I apologize, are pretty much consistent, again, across the circle, around the circle, with the same kind of plantings. And I do that intentionally for symmetry, so that when you're looking, everything looks cohesive in the garden. If I come over here now, let's talk a little bit more about this bed. So I just mentioned those really pretty Love Me Sweetly. There's another hydrangea that's on its way out. This bed right here, it's hard to see, but there's actually another half moon gate in that cosmos bed that looks really pretty. And then this was what I'm sharing with you right now, was our vegetable garden that is now all perennials, with the exception there's a couple herbs and 1 zucchini plant in there, and a volunteer tomatoes that came up. So I'll share that with you guys as well. So let's go take a peek in there. And it's just so full and pretty. Excuse me. In there. I have this arbor as well that has climbing honeysuckle, as well as that one. This one actually has 2, and it still smells amazing. So if I come in here, there's that actual zucchini that I was mentioning. Otherwise, I've got dahlias, some white ones and pink ones in here. Here is my volunteer cherry tomato. It is so, and they're such sweet little tomatoes. They're delicious. Tastes like little candy. And Ruby, what are you doing? There's our standard poodle out there. And just look at how full everything looks. And so pretty. We'll kind of go in there in a second. Over here, I have some dahlias, and there is another hydrangea in there that's not doing as well. I have treated it with some iron tone, but it's still not living its best life. This is probably my least favorite bed. It's just older and needs to kind of a revamp. So we'll be doing that at some point. This was a yellow rose that just phased out, but was a pretty little staple in here. And let's go this way so you guys can see. There's some more dahlias in there and so forth. And in this bed over here, I have some herbs in there. So some sage and some hardy geraniums, new to me this year, as well as some salvia. I have a ton of zinnias out here as well. And some rudbeckia that I grew. These, I think, were the sunset version. And just really pretty and easy to grow. And I have some speedwell down here, spirea, and some gomphrena that I purchased, and some more of my geraniums that I grew from seed. Then if I come over here, same thing, I have salvia, some more liatris or liatris, and zinnias, and rudbeckia that are doing great. And this is a lemon balm that smells amazing. And then I also grew a bunch of lamb's ear, primarily for my grandbabies, just so they're, when they come over, they can do some fun textural stuff for them to touch and feel out in the garden. My husband designed 3 of these raised garden beds for me. And I remember when I planted them. In fact, if you go back, you will see the growth and the transformation that these guys have done. They're so full and still doing so well. I haven't watered them for a while, and they're still just doing amazing. They have geraniums, petunias, some trailing succulents, and standard autumn joy back there, as well as zinnias and those geraniums that I grew from seed. Over here, we have some cosmos in this bed, more dahlias, more salvia. I have all different types of salvia. Most of them this year are proven winners, and Godfrey Nursery in, I think it's Shaw, Oregon, had the best selection and the very, very best prices. So I'll probably definitely be going there every year. And then these black planters down here were on my deck, but they just weren't doing so hot. So I put them out in the garden, and they have petunias and some grass and stuff in there. And this bed has a few gaps, but I did purchase some plants from a vendor online, and they didn't show up in the best of condition, so they did refund me my money, but a lot of them didn't take, so that was kind of a bummer. And this is also, I think this is a Sahara version, and I grew that from seed. A lot of the things I do have, I grew from seed as well. So here's a better example of a really established, beautiful bed. I did use water fertilizer for these for most of the season. Again, I just stopped watering, but otherwise they're still putting on a little bit of a pretty show for us. This bed has more cosmos, and this is Agastaki or anise hyssop, I think is how you enunciate it. And I grew those from seed, and they are just, they just took off in the garden. They look so pretty. And then I have some more various types of sedum down here that are blooming. This one's a real pretty one with a actual yellow or cream colored tops or flowers at the top. And more salvia down there. And zinnias, more sage, more zinnias, more sedum. That one's a really pretty one down there as well. And then this bed is also living its best life. And then here is the cosmos bed, and now you can see this moongate arbor a little bit better. That planter in the center is a little bit, well, it's just struggling. It's on the struggle bus because it's wanting more water that I'm not able to provide right now. And this bed is primarily zinnias with Agastaki. And the nice thing about the Agastaki is I planted these clear back in April, and they did not stop blooming. They have been blooming since then. And I have not done any deadheading of those. More salvia that's in there, flanked with more different types of sedum. So if I come over to this way, you can see just how pretty everything is as well. So I would love it if you guys, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so, and like, and then also tell me what you grew in your garden that was a success or even a miss. Some things are definitely a miss in my garden this year. There will be some editing for next year, but definitely loving the annuals with the perennials in these boxes next year that I will repeat, just because it was super easy to do and just visually so pretty. And anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I want to tell you thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far. And again, if you have not subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to build up my channel next year. I'm hoping to do more and take you guys along with us for our journey. We love to design and create. We are also in the process of building a nursery, a greenhouse, and it's about halfway done. So we will have that for next year as well, and we'll take you on that journey as we start growing things and playing and doing all the fun things. So thank you guys so very much for your time today. Have a great rest of your day, a great Sunday, and I hope to catch all of you guys again soon in a future video. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.